I believe that Scripture is logical and consistent, although difficult to always fully understand. My theology employs a hermeneutic of scriptural interpreting Scripture. This means that Scripture language and expression literally define themselves. You believe that probably what I believe, that timing elements are almost always literal in the normal sense, and that puzzling Scripture passages are best interpreted by plainer passages within the perimeters of the context of the whole Scripture. I believe the principle of original audience relevance. I'm of the Reformed school and insist upon sola scriptura, to the point of rejecting creedal statements and traditional dogma if they are in conflict with Scripture. Since the timing elements and events indicate the second coming of Christ to be near back in the first century, I believe the doctrine of eschatology has its fulfillment occurring in the first century. One of your critical problems is a convincing explanation of the overwhelming first century scriptural imminence of Christ's return and resurrection of the dead. If there were but a few imminent passages of Christ's return and impending resurrection, maybe you could deal with it satisfactorily. However, there are a multitude of imminent verses. Therefore, you typically resort to a single verse, that's 2 Peter 3:8, and use that as a key in an attempt to transform every New Testament verse of imminence into a long time delay. This means that much of the New Testament scriptures had absolutely no relevancy for the original audience. You have created a perpetual imminence, saying that every generation is to experience an expectation of an any moment return of Jesus. Is this legitimate? Is it prudent? Is it scripturally convincing? One glaring problem with this approach can be seen in the statement made by Jesus in Matthew 16:28. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Rather than using time statements, this scripture clearly indicates an event that will occur within the lifetime of some standing here with Christ in the first century. You argue this event coming in his kingdom occurred at Pentecost. The problem with your argument comes when the verse prior to that is included. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. At Pentecost was every man rewarded according to his works. You must explain this passage within proper context. You must explain what it meant to the first century audience. In John's Gospel, we find the following account. Jesus said unto him, If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me. Then went this saying abroad among the brethren, that disciple should not die. Yet Jesus said not unto him, He shall not die, but if I will that he tarry till I come. What is that to thee? Once again, the timing of Jesus coming, appearing, connects to an event in the lifespan of some of his first century followers. Jesus does not unequivocally state that this disciple would not die before his return. However, many perceive this to be strongly implied. Interestingly enough, it seems John was the last apostle to decease. Was John living at the time of Jesus' second coming? Was there an expectation of 2,000 years delay? This is where you present a verse from the parable of the talents to establish the Lord coming thousands of years later. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. However, within the scope of this parable, the Lord returned within the lifetime of those servants. Can we presume that the Lord returned thousands of years later when those servants were deceased? Paul speaks about marriage to those in Corinth and says it would be better to not take a wife if possible. He was speaking to those in the first century when he said, But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoiced not, and they that buy as though they possessed not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. You must explain exactly what fashion of the world was passing away shortly, and how this passage can be transformed into a long future date. Generations beyond the lifetime of those that Paul was addressing in the first century. Are we, in every